How's it going, everybody? I'm AJ and this is my first ever year in review. I actually tried to do a video like this last year, in 2022, where I will tell you a little bit about my revenues. I know you like to hear about numbers, so I wanted to talk about that and also talk about my games, my game development process and stuff like that. I actually have the script ready but never got to record it. December is usually a crazy month for me, because as you might know, I live in Colombia. My sisters live here too, but in a different city, and my mom lives in Venezuela. So getting the family together for the holidays involves a lot of planning and a lot of traveling. And honestly, when I'm with them, I just want to enjoy them as much as possible and try to put work aside, at least for a few weeks. This year is not different, except for the fact that we get together in my house, which means I'm close to my PC, and thought it would be a good time to put together one final video for the year. 2023 has been a pretty interesting year for me. If you've been following the channel, you know I started the year with a big plan of releasing 4 new games. I knew that plan was crazy, and I probably wouldn't be able to make it, but I wanted to try it either way, and push myself to work faster. On one hand, it was exciting, sitting down for longer hours working on my games, trying to be more productive. But on the other hand, it was stressful every time I got a notification telling me I was supposed to be releasing this or that game that day. Google Assistant is ruthless. Nevertheless, it wasn't all that bad, and I did manage to make more progress than before, and actually got to release 2 new games. Let's talk about that and then we can talk about revenues. So in August of this year, I released a game called La Petite Avril. As some of you might know, La Petite Avril is a game I made when my wife was pregnant. I imagine our daughter making her way through a dangerous place, solving puzzles and fighting monsters, while she found her way to our world to meet us. I like this game a lot, but I never actually thought of giving it a full release. The game was in a folder for years, until 2022, when I was talking with Pocky about bringing a Pretty Yacht Bunny to their platform. And they say, what about La Petite Avril? So I launched a Pretty Yacht Bunny on Pocky last year, and immediately started porting La Petite Avril. It was a challenging process, because I made the game when I was just starting with Construct 3. So the game was buggy and needed a lot of polishing. I worked on that for the first half of the year, and then, around July, I put it on Pocky. First as a soft release, and then after adding some extra content, it released globally on August 16. To my surprise, the game was a huge success, surpassed a Pretty Yacht Bunny very quickly in terms of revenues and gameplay hours, and is still making good numbers as of right now. After La Petite Avril, I went back to work on Neko Pirate. I worked with my graphic designer to finish all the ads for the game, revamp the map screen, finish designing all the levels for Chapter 1, and a lot more. While doing this, I noticed how La Petite Avril was doing, so I went back to it and add more unlockable content to keep people engaged. This is a feature the game didn't have originally. I added a store where you can unlock different flowers for Avril, and this time I add a second screen to the store, with even more flowers to unlock. This was well received, and the game continued its good streak. Around October, I started conversation with Pocky about a new game. I had this idea on my mind about a casual game involving cannons. I'm a big fan of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and I wanted to make a game about that mechanic, where you shoot decay from cannon to cannon. That game became Cannon Blast, and I worked on it from October all the way to November. And on December 14, we released the game on soft launch. Cannon Blast is the fastest I have worked on a game in my life. This is something I've been wanting to do for years. I know I spent way too long working on my games, so it was important to me to find a good balance between quality and efficient development process. So it was important to get the game out this year. I'm very happy that I was able to do it, and I learned a lot with Cannon Blast, things that will help me improve my working process for Neko Pirate, and hopefully will help me finish that one quickly too. Cannon Blast has been doing great as well. Not as good as La Petite Avril, but also it is a more niche genre, so I was expecting a more limited appeal. Nevertheless, the game still has a good rating, 4 stars out of 5, and so far, in less than a month, it already has over 50,000 gameplays. Not bad for my little puzzle game, especially since it is still in soft launch. I expect this number to go up significantly when we make it globally available. So those are the 2 games I made this year. Now let's talk about numbers. In 2023, most of my income are still coming from my main job, outside game development. I'm not a full-time developer just yet, but revenues from my games were good enough to make for around 40% of my overall income this year, quite a lot compared to 2022, and it has potential to grow even more in the future. Now, talking exclusively about my game development income, in 2023, the pie chart looked like this. In this chart, I'm showing you percentage and not specific numbers, because as you know, I'm working with publishers in most stores, so I'm not able to disclose the exact amount. Nevertheless, here you can have a good idea of what platform is generating the more revenues. Consoles and Steam were still the top platform in 2023. Most of this money came from Switch sales and PlayStation, so Xbox and Steam sold some Unix too. The actual revenues this year was a lot smaller than last year, which is normal. Games usually sell most of the Unix the first few months, and then start slowing down until they eventually die. For example, the last 2 months of 2023, I already started seeing a significant decrease in revenues for the console version of A Pretty Odd Money. Without telling you the exact number, imagine if I was making $100 a month. It suddenly became $40 in November and December. So this tells me I can count with A Pretty Odd Money on consoles for the next year. Luckily, Neko Pirates should be ready in 2024, and if I manage to put it on consoles too, I should be able to push that numbers up again. We'll see. Outside of the consoles and Steam versions, I also teamed up with Overpixel, the developer of Lonesome Village, to release A Pretty Odd Money on iOS. This is a very good version of the game, much more polished than the console one. The game didn't do as well on iOS, but still made for a little bit of money. Android was another good source of revenue this year. I have several games on Android, but A Pretty Odd Money is still the one making most of the money. By August, I noticed the revenues started to decrease, so I pushed a new update, bringing all the improvement from the Pocky version and the iOS version to Android, and also changed the icon, in an attempt to get some new eyes to it. And crazy enough, it worked, because the revenue started to go up again. So Android is still going strong. Right now, A Pretty Odd Money has around 400,000 something downloads. I would love to get that to 500,000 before the game is completely forgotten. The final piece of the pie this year came not from game development, but somehow an adjacent project. You might remember I told you I partnered with a Colombian company called Level Academy, and we put together a game development course in Spanish. A lot of people got interested in the course, and we actually saw a decent income from that project. But honestly, I did it because I wanted to do something for the kids here in Colombia. And seeing how they reacted to the course and got really inspired with construct and maybe working on their own games right now was a great feeling. And I'm very happy that we did it. I actually want to expand that project in 2024, and I want to make the course in English. I think that is something a lot of you will enjoy. I have experience making online courses, and I would love to bring that experience to Construct 2 and make a course that is actually well designed and can help people get to know the engine and start their own journey as game developers. That's something I'm very passionate about, so hopefully I get to do it next year. Keep an eye on the channel for that. So that's pretty much it. This video got longer than expected, but I guess this year was packed with stuff. Oh, I forgot, apart from all of this, I also spent a lot of time on my YouTube channel, making that lot, a ton of construct tutorials, and keeping you posted on everything game development. This is something I enjoy more and more the more I do it. We managed to get to almost 1,500 subscribers. I'm still not monetized, because I still need a 4,000 watch hour to qualify for that. But either way, I'm enjoying it, and hopefully we get the channel monetized sooner than later. If not, that's okay too, because one thing I've been noticing is that more people are interacting with my videos. I now recognize some of your names and profile pics, so it's pretty cool to have a community that finds value in the content I'm making. That makes me happy, and I thank you for that. So guys, thank you for being with me this year and supporting my project. I look forward to having more game for you next year, more video tutorials, and even online courses to keep making this indie game journey fun and valuable for us all. Have a wonderful rest of the year and Happy New Year. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in 2024. Bye!